Look at the size of this hippopotamus mouth. Now in this video, we're going to be doing some questions on the topic of inheritance. We've covered now all the content, so let's see if you really get it. So all of these questions are multiple choice. They are paper 1 for the IB, okay? So try the questions by yourself first, and then I'll explain the answer. Okay, so the answer for this question is C, okay? So why is it C? What is the difference between dominant, recessive, and codominant alleles? So remember, a dominant and recessive allele is represented by a lowercase and uppercase letter. So for example, let's choose the letter A. The uppercase would represent the dominant allele, whereas the lowercase will represent recessive allele. And we know you will get one allele from your mom and one allele from your dad for a specific trait. Now the combination of these two alleles will determine the outcome, or the phenotype, right? The phenotype is the physical trait, the characteristic, like height, color, hair, anything like that. Now, a dominant allele is the capital letter, like I said, and it always affects the phenotype. For example, when it is present as homozygous, like homozygous meaning both alleles are either recessive or dominant, but if both alleles are dominant, then the phenotype will be affected. Even when it's heterozygous, so when there's only one dominant allele, we know the dominant allele will mask the recessive allele. It will overpower the recessive allele, okay? And so the phenotype will be present. On the contrary, a recessive allele is the small letter, right? And the only way the recessive allele can affect the phenotype is if it is homozygous, meaning that both of them are recessive. If it's present like this, heterozygous, then the dominant allele will mask or overpower the allele, okay? So the only way a recessive trait can be expressed is if both of them are recessive, okay? So that's why it only affects the phenotype when in a homozygous state. Lastly, codominant. So remember, codominant is basically a condition where the two alleles are both dominant. So we saw here that one is dominant and one is recessive. In a codominant trait, both of the alleles will be dominant. Let me show you. So for example, if we have blood type, we represent this by capital I, meaning blood type, and then we give it a capital B if it's blood type B, and a capital A if it's blood type A. Now, these are two alleles, and when you have both of these alleles, since they are both capital, they are both dominant, they both matter, meaning your blood type will not be B or A, it'll be AB, so you'll be blood type AB because they both matter. So both alleles affect the phenotype, okay? So that's why the answer is C. Which genotypes are possible when a male group with a blood group AB and a female with a blood group O have offspring? Again, try it by yourself. Okay, so the way we do this, right, is we have to quickly clarify something. So here we have the rock, right, and we look at his cells and we look into his nucleus, right, and we can see his chromosomes. Each chromosome has a different purpose. And if we look at this chromosome, say chromosome 9, and we look at a specific location on it, okay, this location is responsible for blood type, this one, okay? And you can see we have one allele here from the mom and one allele from the dad. Now, blood groups are interesting because they have three alleles, 1, 2, and 3, okay? All three of these alleles matter, okay? But blood type B and A are codominant. That's why they have a capital letter. Whereas this one here, I, is recessive, okay? It's lowercase. Now, any of these three can be expressed, okay? You can see in this case, the rock has an allele for IB and an allele for I, okay? So he will be blood type B because I is recessive and B is dominant. So you can see here, here's a bunch of combinations and what blood type you will be. So how do we figure out this question? They are saying, what is the possible offspring when you have a male with a blood group AB and a female with O? So let's make a, a Punnett grid. Here we have a Punnett grid. We have a male that has an allele IB, an allele IA, and we have a female that has two alleles. She is, she is blood group O, okay? And we know you are, let me show you. We know you are blood group O when you have both of the recessive alleles, so both I's. So now we make the combinations. What can happen? So we reveal. One option is to form blood type B by having IB and I. Another option is blood type A. And another option is also blood type B, okay? And then again, last one, this. So basically, having this combination of parents, there's two possibilities. Having blood type, the child could have blood type A or blood type B. 50% chance that it's blood type A and 50% chance that it's blood type B, okay? So what is the question asking? The offspring will have IA and small I only. That's not true. It won't even, it can also have IB and small I, right? So that one cannot be true. It will have IA, I, and IB, I. That's true. We saw that. So it could be this answer. Oh yeah, wait a second. Answer was C. IA, I, and II. There's no possibility for recessive II, okay? And there's C. Since there's no possibility for II, it cannot be C or D. So the answer must be B. So you can see that to solve this problem, you just need to make a Punnett grid. Okay, next question. Okay, here comes the pedigree chart. So the diagram shows a pedigree. Okay, so most times the questions will give you a pedigree and you need to say what type of inheritance it is. Is it autosomal recessive? Is it sex-linked? Is it autosomal dominant? It will normally ask you this kind of question, okay? And you need to use your knowledge to be able to solve it. So give it a go by yourself and I'll reveal. Okay, so I made videos on how to identify pedigree, so you can check that out to understand it fully. But basically, there are some ways in which you can identify whether it's autosomal dominant, autosomal recessive, or sex-linked, okay? And each of them kind of has 3 unique ways, okay? And I'm revealing them here. I'm not going to explain them because this is just a question video. I don't want to take too much time explaining them. So if you really want to get it, you just need to go watch the video that I made. Okay, you can take a look at these. So let's get into it. So when I see this, the first thing I notice, the very first thing, is I notice each generation has an affected person. So generation 1 has the dad affected. Generation 2 has 3 people affected. And generation 3 also has people affected. So you'll notice for autosomal dominant, you'll see it will be present in every generation. It cannot skip generation. It's impossible to skip generations. So this already gives me a clue that it could be autosomal dominant. Okay, I'm leaning towards that already, but I can't definitively say that because it is possible also that for recessive, it also is present in every generation. But in autosomal recessive, it could also skip generations. But it's not impossible for it to also be present in all generations. Okay? So now I need to look for another clue. So what I can see here is this. I'm looking at this part here. Both of these parents have the disease, yet one of their kids don't have it. This makes me think, once again, that it could be autosomal dominant. Because in autosomal recessive, it is impossible for, if the parents have the disease, for the kids not to have it. Okay, so let me show you here. In autosomal recessive, if both parents have the trait, then all the kids will have it. But here we can see both parents have it, but some of the kids don't. How is this possible? Let me show you. So remember, like in autosomal recessive, if this pedigree was autosomal recessive, then it means the parents will have the recessive alleles. And so no matter what combination of alleles we pass on to the kids, they will all definitely be, wait a second, they will all be AA, all of them. It's impossible to have another combination. So this cannot be recessive, it's impossible. But if we pretend that they are, let me do this. If we pretend that it's dominant, then it means this person has AA, okay, because they don't have the disease. But these two can be AA or AI. But we know since one of the kids have AA, it means the only way this kid could have gotten AA is if both parents have at least one lowercase a, at least one recessive allele, okay? And this means that these two kids can get it if one of the parents pass on a dominant allele. So this is possible. So it is possible to be autosomal dominant. Now, last thing, What about sex-linked? Why is this not sex-linked? So the reason why this is not sex-linked is because in sex-linked, these are the conditions, okay? Let me show you. First of all, in sex-linked, normally, you'll see here, males more commonly have the trait. And we can see in this picture, 1, 2, 3, 4 males have it, 2 females have it. So that's already a clue, but it's not perfect. You can't only use that idea. So if we look at it, what's another one? For a girl to get it, for a girl to get the trait, the dad must have the trait. Okay, so we can see every time a girl has it, the dad definitely has it. Okay, so you can see the girl has it here, the dad definitely has it. The girl has it here, the dad definitely has it. Why is that? Because, let's say the mom here has it, we know the mom has it, and the dad has it. If the dad has it, we know that the girl needs to get one X chromosome from the dad, okay? They need to. So the only way the girl can get it is if both of her alleles are recessive, right? And the only way both of the alleles could be recessive is if the dad has the disease, okay? So we can see that's true. Okay, so this is true so far. But this girl doesn't have it. So that's why it cannot be sex-linked, because all the girls will have it. All the girls will have it if the dad has it. If the dad has it. Or is that true? No, that's not 100% true, because the dad could pass on this allele, and the mom, maybe she passes on this one. But no, because that would make her a carrier and she wouldn't have the disease. So in theory, all the girls should have it because the mom here has it and the dad has it. Okay, so if both the mom and the dad has it, all the girls should have it. All the kids should have it. Okay, so that's why. So that's why the answer is autosomal dominant. And why not codominant? Because we cannot use pedigree charts for codominant diseases. It doesn't work. Okay, it doesn't apply because codominant alleles have many more than one trait. So there's a combination. It's not you have it or you don't have it. With codominant alleles, you could have a mixed answer. You could have in between black and white. Okay, so it doesn't work. It doesn't work. We can't use pedigrees. Okay, let's go to the next one. So again, give it a go by yourself first and then we'll get to it. Okay, so again, basically they're saying that this is an inherited condition that affects phenylalanine and tyrosine. Okay, this is a disease. Alkaptonuria is a disease. And these two things, phenylalanine and tyrosine, are amino acids. Okay, you don't need to know this for the IB, but they're obviously giving you these words to try and confuse you. But these are amino acids, right? And we know amino acids make proteins. And in this condition, you have a problem being able to use these amino acids. Okay, so that's what the disease is. And that makes your urine be black. Now they're asking again, what kind of inheritance makes this pedigree chart? So let's use our same clues. So we can see this generation has it, this generation has it, and this generation has it. But we can see these generations do not have it. But we are not skipping any generations. So because we are not skipping any generations, it could still be autosomal dominant, right? Because if this person had the disease, then it couldn't be autosomal dominant. Because in autosomal dominant, you cannot skip generations, okay? You cannot skip generations. Now, the clue that tells me what this one is, wait a second. The clue that tells me what this one is here. We can see here that both of these parents do not have the disease, yet their kid has the disease. This tells me that it's autosomal recessive because in order for a kid to have it, even though the parents don't have it, is that both parents have one recessive allele. Okay, and so both parents can pass on the small allele. Okay, so going back to this, if kids can have it, even if both parents don't have it, since parents can be heterozygous. Okay, so is there any other clues that we can use? So we pretty much know it's this one, but why is it not autosomal dominant? Because for this to be autosomal dominant, one of the parents must have it. One of the parents must have the disease for one of the kids to be able to have it. Okay, so that's why it's definitely not autosomal dominant. What about X-linked? Okay, so why not X-linked? Because for X-linked, the only way a girl can have it is if her dad has it. The only way a girl can have it is if her dad has the disease. But in this case, we see A girl gets it, but her dad doesn't have the disease, so it cannot be X-linked. It cannot be X-linked. And what is Y-linked? Okay, it cannot be Y-linked because Y-linked means it's on the Y chromosome, and that would mean only boys can get affected. But we can see here, girls are affected. Okay, so it cannot be Y-linked. So the answer must be B. Wait a second. Okay, it must be B. Now, last question. What would be the expected result if a woman carrier for color blindness and a colorblind man had many children? So again, to be able to do this question, you must know that color blindness is, let me show you, is sex-linked. Okay, it's on the X chromosomes. This you learn in the information, in the content. Okay, you should know that automatically this is a sex-linked disease. And you should know what a carrier means. A carrier means they have one of the disease alleles. Let me show you. So here we have a mom and a dad, okay? And they said here, the woman is a carrier. This means that if we say this place here is the location that determines color vision, the woman is a carrier, meaning she has one recessive allele and one dominant allele, which is what she has, one dominant, one recessive. And the dad is colorblind, according to the text. That means the dad must have the recessive allele, okay? Because it's X-linked recessive. Colorblindness is recessive, X-linked recessive, meaning that you must have both the recessive alleles to be able to be colorblind if you're a woman, or one recessive allele, since the Y chromosome doesn't have that gene. Okay, so now what we need to do to be able to answer this question is make a Punnett grid. So here we have it, the dad and the mom, okay, the carrier and the dad who has the disease. What are the options? So we can see one option here is the dad passing on his X chromosome to form a female, right? 2 X chromosomes, and this female will be a carrier. Another option is to pass on his Y chromosome while the mom passes on this dominant allele, and this will make a male that is normal. Another option is to pass on both parents the recessive alleles to make a colorblind female, or a colorblind male if they pass on the Y chromosomes. So based on this information, we know 1/4 of the kids, so it's a 1 in 4 chance that the male will be normal. Know that that out of all the kids, you'll have a normal male. 1 in 4 chance that out of all the kids, you'll have a carrier female. 1 in 4 chance that you'll have a colorblind female, and 1 in 4 chance that you'll have a colorblind male. Overall, it's a 50% chance that you'll have a colorblind child, okay? Because half the chance that you'll have colorblind child. Okay, what does the question ask? All offspring will be colorblind. Nope, we saw. It doesn't have to be. 50% of offspring will be colorblind. All male offspring will be colorblind and all females normal. Nope. One of the males could be normal. All males will be normal and all females will be colorblind. Nope, we saw one option is that a male could be colorblind. Last one, all females will be carriers of colorblindness or colorblind. Yep, so they either have to be a carrier or colorblind. So that one's true. It's got to be D. Okay, so that is some questions. I'll make another video, a part 2, to do some more questions. I hope these make sense so far. If you don't get some of these, the purpose of this video is not for me to explain in detail the questions, because I made tutoring videos where I explain the concept of inheritance and all these things that you need to know. This is just a run through to try and answer the questions.